dear friends and aspirants, welcome back once again to our channel High Point. I hope you have watched the whole video in the series about Shakespeare, and this is the penultimate video going to be, that means the second last video, the Tempest. And the Tempest is considered as the final individual work by William Shakespeare, and it is also a tragic comedy, and it was probably composed between 1610 and 1611, between 1610 and 1611. So before beginning, you can find me not only in YouTube, you can visit me in my website www.highpoint.in, where you will get ample and sufficient amount of study materials in the form of audio lectures, PDF materials, downloadable PDF materials, and also previous and practice question papers. And once you join any of the courses, then you will get a personalized study guidelines according to your preferences, and also you will have weekly test in every Saturdays. And also, if you want to join a WhatsApp group in which I am sharing daily quiz question and also some study cards and also news and updates related to NTA UGC NET, you can obviously call me in this number. Not only for that, if you want to know more about the course and structure, the topics that we are sharing, or anything related to the course and the website, you can also call me or message me or contact me in this number. And don't forget to follow me in my Instagram page. My Instagram ID is right here, LijiMaria90, because in a daily basis I'm sharing study cards and reels and small videos related to UGC NET English language and literature that will be really helpful for you. You can save them into your account, and also you can have a real quick revision of things that you have already learned. So don't forget to follow me there too. There also I'm sharing daily quiz as well. So these are the platforms that you can find me at, and also in YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you have not yet subscribed to it. So moving on, let's have an introduction to the play, The Tempest. It's a play by Shakespeare. It's a tragic comedy, and we have already discussed what is a tragic comedy. See, Shakespeare, towards the end of his career, he produced tragic comedies actually, or tragic comedy or tragic comic romances, in the sense that in the rising action or in the first half of the play, you will have many tragic elements. So the mood will be very dark, many horrible things you can see in the first half, and after the second, but as soon as the play turns into the second half, you will see that all these tragic elements turn into comic elements, and also people will get reconciled with each other very easily, and every other action will turn into comic instead of tragic, and the play will have a comic end. That means a celebrating mood will be there towards the end of this play, or the play will end in a positive note. So that kind of plays are generally known as tragic comedies, and Shakespeare actually is a great proponent of this kind of plays, and he was criticized for actually combining these comic and tragic elements together. So last individual play by Shakespeare. So The Tempest is the last individual play by Shakespeare, and also it is one of the shortest play by Shakespeare as well. It's labeled as Shakespearean comedy and tragic comedy. Appeared in the first folio in 1623 as a comedy. So in his first folio, this is labeled as a comedy, and first folio came out in 1623. It roughly adhered to 3 unities, where his other plays rarely respect them. So this is another fact related to The Tempest, because 3 unities means Aristotle has put forwarded 3 unities. That is a must according to him in a play: unity of action, unity of time, and unity of place. So only The Tempest, we can see that roughly more or less roughly these 3 unities are respected and carried out in this play. It never exceeds 24 hours. It actually happening in a same place, and also in an island, and it also in unity of action we cannot say, but still it has more or less comic elements more. So it roughly adhered to 3 unities, while all his other plays are notoriously disrespecting the three unities by Aristotle. In the modern or post-modern times, it has various readings and interpretations such as post-colonial and feminist. So we can find that in the modern or post-modern or during the time of post-colonial theories, we can see that this play got much more various readings that I don't know whether Shakespeare even thought of. So such as post-colonial and feminist. So that is one of the major quality of Shakespearean works, that he is the man, he is a literary man of all ages. In every other age, according to the ideas or facts that are there in that particular age, Shakespearean works got reinterpreted again and again repeatedly. Okay. So moving on, that was the introduction. Now we have the character list. Here we have an elaborate character list, but still you don't have to remember all of them, but you have to remember at least the important ones. Okay. Prospero, the rightful Duke of Milan. So he was actually he is the rightful Duke of Milan. Now he is not. When the story is open, he is not the Duke of Milan, but he is just an inhabitant of we can say in the from post-colonial theory, from that side we can see that he is a colonizer of an island. Then Miranda, his daughter, Ariel, a spirit in service to Prospero, Caliban, a servant of Prospero and a savage monster, Alonso, king of Naples, Sebastian, Alonso's brother. Please remember these things. Alonso, king of Naples, Sebastian, Alonso's brother, Antonio, Prospero's brother, the usurping Duke of Milan. See, Prospero was the rightful Duke of Milan, but his brother Antonio usurped to the throne by actually making him exiled from the country. Ferdinand is Alonso's son. Gonzalo, an honest old counselor. Adrian is a lord serving under Alonso. Francisco, a lord serving under Alonso. Trinculo, the king's jester. See here, Trinculo, more or less, he is just like a fool. That is a character that we can find in most of the Shakespearean tragedies and comedies. Stefano is the king's drunken butler. Then Juno, the Roman goddess of marriage. Ceres, Roman goddess of agriculture. Iris, Greek goddess of the sea and sky. Master of the ship. Mariners are there. Boatswain, servants of the master. Then nymphs and reapers are there. So these are the major, at least you have to remember these two set of characters here, because these two set of characters play major role in the drama. Now let's move on to the summary of the play. I have provided act-wise, scene-wise summary. So I will be going little bit fast because I don't want this video to be enormously lengthy. So Act 1, Scene 1. The play opens with a violent storm ranges around a small ship. So a ship is there on the waves of the sea, and the storm is there, a violent storm. With that the play opens. Alonso, Sebastian, Antonio, Gonzalo and others with the mariners enters. Okay, Alonso, Sebastian, Antonio, Gonzalo with the mariners, they enter. Chaos everywhere, and they were asked to go the below deck. When the play opens, we can see that the ship is going to wreck and everybody is panic, and everybody was asked to go below deck. They were returning from Tunis, as Alonso's daughter Claribel was married to the prince. So Alonso's daughter Claribel was married to the prince of Tunis. So they were returning from that ceremony of marriage, and they trapped in this sea storm. Scene 2 of Act 1. Prospero and Miranda stand on the shore of the island, witness this shipwreck. So Prospero and Miranda, they are in an island and they are watching this shipwreck. Prospero began to tell about his past life while ensuring the safety of the shipmates. See, actually Miranda was not happy with this sight of shipwrecking. So Prospero, she asked Prospero to save them because Prospero got magical powers. He is a practitioner of magic. So while they were seeing it, Prospero began to tell about his past life. Prospero was Duke of Milan once, but he was uninterested in politics, as he concentrated more into studies, while his brother Antonio, with the help of Alonso, usurped his dukedom. So what happens? Prospero was Duke of Milan and he was not at all interested in politics, involvement in politics, and having that power was his least interest, and because he wanted to concentrate on his studies on magic. So while he was disinterested in politics, his brother Antonio usurped to power, usurping whom Prospero with the help of Alonso. And Prospero and baby Miranda were thrown out in a small boat, and the good Gonzalo provided them with food. So they were thrown out. Prospero, along with his baby daughter Miranda, they were thrown out in a small boat with his magical books. So Gonzalo actually provided them with food, clothing and books from Prospero's library, and they arrived in the island. So that's how they are in that island. And suddenly Miranda grows very sleepy as his charm worked on her. So now Prospero is well versed with his magic and all, since he studied all the books. And suddenly, as the story ends, Miranda grows very sleepy, and actually he played a charm on her, and he all of a sudden asleep. Now Prospero called Ariel and informed that everyone in the ship were brought safely to the shore as he asked by him. Prospero is the one who arranged the storm and trapped the ship, and he also called Ariel to brought everyone safely to the shore. He doesn't want any harm to cause anyone. Then Ariel reminded Prospero of his freedom, but he in turn told about how he was prisoner of Sycorax when Prospero arrived here and threatened him of 12 years of imprisonment again. So Ariel is more or less a kind of spirit who is under service to Prospero. It was not Ariel's friend to Prospero. Actually, Ariel was under the imprisonment of Sycorax. Okay, and Prospero is the one who actually captivity. So Ariel actually need to serve Prospero from that moment. But when he demanded his freedom, he actually threatened it with 12 more years of imprisonment again. And Prospero awakens Miranda. So after this, Miranda got awakened. He talks to Caliban, son of Sycorax, and he began to curse him. So what happens? Caliban is Sycorax's son, and he's kind of Caliban, kind of a monster, portrayed as a monster who was the actual inhabitant of that particular island. And here comes the application of post-colonial theory, that Prospero is an invader who came there and colonized the island, and he even imprisoned Caliban, and even he even tried to convert him into his style, and he even tried to teach his language. Okay. So Caliban, when he Prospero talked to Caliban, he began to curse him in the language that he taught him to speak. Prospero called him ungrateful and asked him to bring more firewood and threatened him too. So Prospero, when he heard Caliban cursing him in a language that he taught him to talk, Prospero called him so ungrateful, and he even asked him to bring more firewood and threatened him too, and so he obeys. Ariel brings Ferdinand to the sight of them, and Prospero asked Miranda to look at him. So Ariel, it was intentionally planned by Prospero, because Prospero wanted Ferdinand and Miranda to see each other, and they fell in love with each other and finally marry with each other. So Ferdinand was there, separated from other party of the ship, and Ferdinand is alone, and he thought that the other member, also his father and other members of the ship, although all of them died, he had no idea about them now. So Prospero asked Ariel to create a situation in which Ferdinand and Miranda will look each other. As she has not seen any other humans other than her father, she immediately fell in love with him. So, see, if you remember, Miranda left Milan with Prospero as a baby child. So, she never met with any other human being other than her own father. So, when she saw Ferdinand, she immediately fell in love with him. And both are young too. And Prospero wanted they to fall in love as soon as possible, but he told him that he is going to imprison him, and did so even though Miranda persuaded for mercy. So even though Prospero wanted them to fall in love, but he told him that, see, you are here under my control, so I am going to arrest and imprison you. So even though Miranda persuaded for mercy, he actually pretended that he has a deaf ears towards to her. So he sends Ariel for another errand. So Ariel is like always for the service of Prospero, and Prospero is doing every other thing through him. Now Act 1 ends, Act 2, Scene 1. As Ferdinand is falling in love with Miranda in another part of the island, the shipwrecked lords are in misery for the loss of Ferdinand. See, in another side of the island, the other party except Ferdinand, they also landed in the shore, and when they could not find Ferdinand alone, they felt that something must have happened to Ferdinand. Ariel enters with solemn music, and all except Sebastian and Antonio fell asleep. So Ariel, in order to soothe them down, he actually produced some solemn music, some melodious music that will create some calmness. But except Sebastian and Antonio, everyone else fell asleep. Antonio persuaded Sebastian to kill his brother, but he at the last moment has a second thought. So while they are awake, Antonio persuaded Sebastian to kill his brother, but he at the last moment has a second thought. Ariel then comes and whispers in the ears of Gonzalo to awaken them up. So what happens? Ariel played a solemn music, and all of them except Antonio and Sebastian, they got asleep, and while they were asleep, Antonio and Sebastian talks, and Antonio persuaded Sebastian to kill his brother. Then Ariel comes and awakens them, or whispered in the ears of Gonzalo to awake. The group continues the search for Ferdinand. See, actually it is for, sorry. So the group continues the search for Ferdinand. Now, in Act 2, Scene 2, what is happening? Caliban brings firewoods and thinks about the torments given by Prospero and his spirits. So, Caliban brings, as asked by Prospero, he brings firewoods, but still he is thinking about the torments and all these sufferings that he is facing because of Prospero and his spirits. Caliban saw Trinculo coming and took him as a spirit. So, Caliban saw Trinculo coming, who also survived the shipwreck. So Caliban saw Trinculo and also took him as a spirit. In order to avoid it, he covers himself with a cloth. This scene actually a comic scene. So in order to avoid the sight of the spirit, he actually covered himself with his cloak. That means a kind of coat. Trinculo, in order to avoid thunder, also comes under Caliban's cloak. So thunder was going on. So Trinculo, in order to avoid that thunder, also comes under Caliban's cloak, and Caliban and Trinculo resist each other while drunkard Stefano enters, seeing the four legs out in a cloak, thought that a four-legged monster is crying out of fever, so he decided to give it some ale. See, Stefano is already drunk. So Caliban and Trinculo, they were resisting each other, and while they were resisting under that cloak, Stefano enters, and he only saw four legs out of a cloak. So he thought that a four-legged monster is crying because of some sickness or illness. So he decided to give it some ale. Caliban liked the liquor while two men are talking. So Caliban was given the liquor, the ale. So he liked its taste, and while Trinculo and Stefano were talking, Caliban was drinking the ale and he liked the taste of it. Now, Act 3, Scene 1. Now, the scene is shifted to Prospero's cell, and Ferdinand carries woods now and enjoys the company of Miranda. Miranda is also helping Ferdinand, and both are in love, and they both talk ignorant of the presence of Prospero. Prospero is silently watching them without noticed by them. He has magic. So, they were both talking. He confesses his love to her and proposed marriage to her. So, like Prospero wanted, Ferdinand fell in love with her and also proposed marriage to her. Prospero was happy and returned to his books. Act 3, Scene 2. Caliban, Trinculo and Stefano drinks and wander in the island. So Caliban, Trinculo and Stefano, three of them, they are drunk now and they are wandering in the island, and Caliban start to tell about Prospero while Ariel stir up troubles with him being invisible. So Ariel comes and he even Ariel as a spirit, it can go invisible, right? It began to torment Caliban while he was telling about Prospero to Trinculo and Stefano. This ended in Stefano hitting Trinculo. So what happening? anyone else, nobody can see Ariel, right? Ariel is tormenting Caliban. So he was actually kicking and moving here and there. So this affair actually ended in Stefano hitting Trinculo. Okay, now what is happening? Caliban plots against Prospero and told them about the magic books. See, Caliban knows that because of that magic book, Prospero is so powerful and nobody can move against him really. So Caliban tells about Prospero and he wanted to plot against Prospero with the help of Stefano and Trinculo, and he told about the magic books. So if they wanted to have power, they can steal this magic book and kill Prospero, and Stefano can have Miranda too, and also the island too. So Stefano can be the king of this island, and also he can marry Miranda while he can kill Prospero after having the magic books. They heard a music by Ariel and followed the music, and afterwards to kill Prospero. So now Ariel again creates a melodious music and they followed the music, and they also thought that after this music they can go and plan for killing Prospero. Act 3, Scene 3. Alonso exhausted of searching for his son. So Alonso is even now searching for his lost son Ferdinand, and he is exhausted. He is too tired after looking for his son. A strange music is heard along with the spirits appearing in strange shapes with food for them. So actually, they all of them are exhausted. They don't have any food or any shelter. So they heard a melodious, strange music, and spirits are coming, appearing in strange shapes with food for them. And Prospero also enters invisible. And as they were about to have the food, Ariel appears as a harpy, and the food disappears, and their swords become heavy magically. So what happens? It's like Prospero is playing with these people, this starving and tired people, because Prospero once he suffered a lot by his brother and many other lords who supported Antonio then. So he now wanted to have a little revenge. So as soon as the food appeared, these starving people, they began to eat it. They tried to eat it, but Ariel appears as a harpy, and soon the food items once disappeared, and as soon as it got appeared, they were angry and they wanted to draw their swords, but their swords became so heavy magically. Okay. So it made them remember about the dispelling of Prospero and Miranda. So actually Prospero wanted them to remember about the dispelling of Prospero and Miranda, and Prospero leaves them to visit Ferdinand and Miranda. So Prospero, once they remember about Prospero and Miranda, Prospero left them there and he goes to visit Ferdinand and Miranda. Antonio, hearing Prospero's name, thought about the death of his son and runs to the city to die, but stopped by others. So Prospero's name was heard there. So Antonio suddenly remembered the horrible thing that he has done to Prospero and the baby girl. So he thought that they must have dead. So it's a horrible thing that he committed and he was guilty. So Antonio thought that his son was also died because of this. So he runs to the sea to die, to do suicide, and stopped by others. Scene 1 of Act 4. Prospero blessed the engagement of Miranda and Ferdinand, and a mask was played before them by the spirits. So now when Ferdinand proposed marriage to Miranda, Prospero blessed the engagement between Miranda and Ferdinand, and a mask means a kind of ornamental, extravagant kind of dramatic performance was carried out before them by the spirits. 3 spirits appeared before them as goddess Juno, Eris and Ceres. So the spirits appeared before them, 3 goddesses, like goddess Juno, Eris and Ceres. Prospero suddenly thought of Caliban's plot against him. So in between, Ariel already has informed Prospero about Caliban's plan to kill him with Stefano and Trinculo. Okay, so Prospero, as he was watching this play, this mask, Prospero thought of Caliban's plot against him, and the time has arrived now, and sends the spirits away, and Ferdinand and Miranda depart while he summons Ariel. Now he and Prospero and Ariel alone, and they have to plan something to resist or destroy Caliban's plot. Ariel reported about their plans, and using the music it led them to rough lands, prickly briars, and to a filthy pond. So in the previous act we have seen that Caliban, Stefano and Tringulo, they were following the music produced by Ariel, and the music actually led them to rough lands, prickly briars and filthy ponds. They all walked through all these places that actually made them to delay to carry out their plans. They also put the fine clothes in the library to distract them. So after that, what they did do, Ariel and through their magic, Ariel and Prospero, they put fine clothes in the library to distract them. They will come to steal the magic books from Prospero's library. Since they have crossed the filthy ponds, their clothes will be, apparels will be very dirty and wet. So they must be in need of fine clothes, right? So they put fine clothes in the library to distract them. So as soon as they will arrive to fetch the books, they will anyway see these clothes and get distracted. The three conspirators arrived wet, and the fine clothes grabbed their attention as expected. So as expected by Ariel and Prospero, exactly that happened. Three people, they were wet and dirty, and fine clothes grabbed their attention, and they distracted from their original plan. Ignoring Caliban, as soon as they touched the clothing, there is a noise of hunters, and a pack of spirits in the shape of hounds set on them and driven them away. So Caliban was actually nagging them not to get distracted. This may be a plan by Prospero and Ariel. You have to stick to your plan. Ignore that fine clothes. But they were not actually hearing Caliban. They went to that fine clothes and they touched the clothes. So as soon as they touched the clothes, they heard the noise of hunters, and a group of spirits in shape of hounds set on them and drives them away. Okay. So that's how Act 4 ends. Now the final act, Act 5, Scene 1. Ariel was asked to release the Duke and the King and their party by Prospero. So they were actually were under the control of Prospero, and Ariel was asked to release them. As Ariel leaves, Prospero's intention to leaving magic is revealed in a soliloquy. So now we can see that the character Prospero is delivering a soliloquy in which he says about his intention to leave magic and also intention to leave the island. Ariel enters with Alonso and his companions to Prospero. So now Alonso, father to Ferdinand, and he is entering with, Ariel is entering with Alonso and his companions to Prospero. So until this time, they have not met with each other, right? He praises the loyalty of Gonzalo and wore his garments of Duke of Milan so that they could recognize him. So these people, along with Alonso and other people, they were led to Prospero, and he still remembers that Gonzalo was the one who actually showed some mercy towards him by giving food and clothing and his library books to him when he was set from Milan. He was asked to go out of Milan when he was thrown out of Milan. So he praised the loyalty of Gonzalo, and he also wore his garments of Duke of Milan that he once used when he arrived there so that they could recognize him. He promised freedom to Ariel. So Ariel was, most of the time he was asking for his freedom because for many years he was serving Prospero, and so now he wanted his freedom. So he promised freedom to Ariel and sent him to fetch the boatswain and mariners from the wrecked ship Ariel goes. So ship was there and it is in wrecked status. So Ariel, for the last time, Ariel was asked by Prospero to go and fetch the boatswain and mariners so that they could depart from there. And Prospero goes. Prospero releases from the spell and forgives Alonso. So everybody got released from their spells, and Alonso was also pardoned. Alonso tells about lost Ferdinand. Prospero reveals Ferdinand and Miranda playing chess. So Alonso is now is in still agony because he cannot find his He cannot find his son Ferdinand, who was also there with them in the party. So Prospero reveals that Ferdinand and Miranda, they are playing chess. And they reached the boat, and Ariel was sent for Caliban, Trinculo and Stefano and asked them to go and return the clothes that they have taken. So when they were approaching the boat to leave, Ariel was sent for Caliban. Ariel was sent by Prospero to Caliban, Trinculo and Stefano, and he also asked them to return the clothes that they have taken, and Prospero sets Ariel free now. So that's the end of the story, end of the play. But after the end of the fifth act, we have an epilogue there. The other characters leave and Prospero delivers the epilogue. So who is delivering the epilogue of the Tempest? Prospero delivers the epilogue of the play Tempest. So he says about the loss of his magical powers. So now he has no magical powers. He left magical powers. He addressed the audience and says that they have imprisoned him. Only their uploading can release him. So it's like, if you have enjoyed this story, you can upload now. So he addressed directly to the audience and said that, since I have no magic power now, you have to upload me in order to release him, in order to release me from my imprisonment that you have made. He says that as his listeners would like to have their own crimes forgiven, they should forgive him and set him free by clapping. So that's how the epilogue ends. And who is delivering the epilogue? Prospero is the one who is delivering the epilogue. Now, what are the themes and motives that we can see in this play? The illusion of justice, distinguishing between men and monsters, the allure of ruling a colony, threats of a colonizer, obedience and disobedience, treason, wonder or admiration. So these are the major themes and motives. If you have more, if you know more themes and motives, then you can obviously mention all those themes and motives that you have extra in the comment section. I would like to see that and discuss further. And the play also has some famous quotes in it. So hell is empty and all the devils are here. This is a famous dialogue that we can find in Act 1 scene 2 of the play, and it is told by Ariel. Full fathom fie, thy father lies, of his bones are coral made. So those are pearls that were his eyes. So those are pearls that were his eyes. We can see this particular line in the wasteland. Oh brave new world that had such people in it. See, Brave New World is a novel's title which was taken from this play. You taught me language, and my profit on it is I know how to curse. The red plague rid you for learning me your language. So this particular line is a famous one. We can see many post-colonial implications are there in this dialogue, and it is delivered by Caliban in Act 1 scene 2. So these are the famous quotes. If you know something more, you can obviously comment that below here. And yeah, that's all about the Tempest. I hope you have at least understood the storyline of this play and remember about the major characters and some points related to and facts related to the Tempest. And I think this will be helpful for your UGC NET JRF studies about English language and literature. So what is your major understanding and what are the points that you have mentioned in your notebook? Please mention that in the comment section as well, so that it may guide the other students further in the future. And don't forget to visit me in my website known as www.highpoint.in, or if you want to join the WhatsApp group, you can that I have already mentioned. You can go to the description box and click the link and join. And if you find any difficulty, you can call me or WhatsApp me directly in this number. I will send you the link personally, and also you can join. And don't forget to follow me in Instagram, because where I am sharing immense study materials in a daily basis. So thank you for listening to my video, and also if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe and support me in here. So that's all about it. Bye bye and thank you. Meet you in the next video.